kind of a fun and different topic today. It just so happens I know I'm spoiled. I've had yarns made for my business, kind of custom made yarns as far as yarn bases, not yarn colors, because, there's lots of people out there who are dyers who, can make custom yarns color wise all day long, but so many people all are on the same yarn bases. So I have had a few made or made per my suggestion in the past, and I also, this leads me to an unofficial unboxing of sort for one of my favorite friends in the industry and favorite people just in general. Dawn of Twice Sheared Sheep has her own yarn. And I can never get the camera right because it's backwards. There you go. I will hold it slightly sideways so you can see the label. So Twice Sheared Sheep has their own yarn, and I was very excited about it, not just because I knew that the colors and quality would be awesome, because everything from Twice Sheared Sheep is, but just because I know how exciting it is to, be like, I have my own yarn. And I don't know, I would like to get more into, I've done so many videos on how to with spinning, but what I actually get a lot of questions about is usually how to with kind of starting either your own business. I do a lot of small business marketing for about 3 different brands. And so I talk a lot about kind of getting going, and then I'm in a lot of groups where I see people that are starting out in the fiber arts, and kind of things that they run into. Not that, I have it all totally figured out, but I have been doing this for about 10 years, so I figured a thing or two out. And one of my sort of heroes in the industry who I know I go to for advice is Dawn. So I had run out of, if y'all follow what we put out, we had, let's see, the Wren Wife, our last little group of cottage industry yarn bundles, which are our knitting and crochet bundles that come with pattern suggestions for knitting and crochet, enough yarn to make the projects that we suggest, because it would be really annoying if we didn't, and then extra little goodies that come from different small, family run or, not mass produced, but, smaller family run businesses. So you get patterns, yarn, and goodies, and those come out quarterly. So that's one of our subscriptions that is really popular. It was actually written up in Newsweek around Christmas time, which was a total surprise. I didn't know that was happening. It was some sort of, I think it was Newsweek. It definitely started with the word news, and it was something that people actually had heard of and were impressed about, and because I was excited about it. But it was a list of best yarn kits for gifting. So that came out around Christmas, and this was the one that was featured. It's also been written up by a couple bloggers that have subscribed or gotten kits from us, so it's something I'm excited about. So we come out with new kits. Our last one had some natural dyed yarns from Wren Wife, who, the owner of that small business, actually does also work for Crafty Housewife Yarns as one of our dyers, but we ran out. So I was like, I'm going to have to get some different supplies to round out June, because June was the last month for this quarter. So I already had all my patterns. I just wanted something I could easily, get some more worsted yarn. And so this is my yarn we got, because I was very excited. Said that my friend had her own yarn, and it comes in these really squishy cakes, and it is Everyday Merino. And I'm sorry, the tag, in order to have good light for you to see the color, it makes the tag not so great. But it says Twice Sheared Sheep. It's Everyday Merino. It is a worsted weight yarn, and I'm bad at looking at it. It looks like it's a 3-ply, like normal, might be a 2-ply. I believe it's a 3-ply. Mill spun yarn. It is superwash. So I'm reading the tag. It is superwash. It is 185 yards. It is 3.53 ounces of 100 grams, which is super common, as all of you know. I'm always weird because I started out selling yarn that was hand spun. So, for me, everything, and I don't know, I had to adjust my own brain on that. Coming from the hand spun world, as far as selling, everything in my brain is in 4 ounces. And so then when I was like, oh, most things are in 100 grams, that was not how I was used to thinking about things. But this is in 100 grams. It is a worsted weight yarn. It's superwash merino, and it is OEKO Tex 100 certified, which I'm pretty sure just means that it is you know, certified to, I will have to look that up actually. I've seen that on things before, and I'm not sure if that has to do with the quality. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the quality and, you know, treatment of the sheep and the wool. I will look that up. And it is in a lovely dove gray color. She has lots of different colors on the website. This one is called Dove, and so my little kit will have 2 of these lovely little, as you see, I like this color. It goes with many things. I love gray because you can really make it go many different ways. So this is a soft bluey gray color. And like I said, I just had to get on here and be excited that my friend has made her own yarn line. So everybody, please go check out the Everyday Merino at Twice Sheared Sheep. And I know it's worsted because that's definitely the most common, and she has free patterns on her site as well. And then what I also, because what I'm used to getting from Twice Sheared Sheep are my little goodies to go in these bags. We went with a cat theme this time. So there are stitch markers that look here. I'll take it out of the bag so you can actually see. Stitch markers, which are little cat heads. I thought they were really cute. But they've got a nice weight to them. So they're just simple round markers, and they have little cat ears. So that's from Twice Sheared Sheep. And then in keeping with my cat theme for this, Dawn also does watercolors. So I'm pretty sure this was her own painting and design on these little tins. So the idea is that the cat stitch markers will go in the cat tin, and then it comes with the yarn, and you can knit and have patterns, and it would make a great gift. So anyhow, this was sort of an unboxing, 2 things in once. So we have a unboxing of all the cool new stuff at Twice Sheared Sheep, an announcement that this is currently what is in the cottage industry yarn bundle for CHY. And like I said, there's also pattern suggestions of what to make with this for knitting and crochet. But I also just kind of wanted to talk about the topic of having your own yarn line. So let me get a couple of my things that we have created as far as our own yarn bases. I'm really excited about, and I just have a few, and they have kind of fun stories. Like I said, if you're remotely familiar with our business, I started out with just selling hand-spun yarns. So my idea with that was, you know, I was going to make like one-of-a-kind, standalone, really cool skeins of yarn, because I just wasn't seeing that anybody was selling those. And so that was the original business plan for Crafty Housewife Yarns, which, spoiler alert, if you are remotely getting into business, whatever your original business plan is probably not going to end up being what you actually end up doing. And while we do still sell one-of-a-kind hand-spun yarn skeins, it's mainly through our hand-spun yarn subscription. And occasionally a few standalones. We've got featured artists and stuff on our website, so I mainly sell other people's hand-spun yarn at this point. But then we also had to start getting into mill-spun. But like I was saying a minute ago, even like my silly brain with not looking at things as like 100 grams, which was very standard for like indie dye, you know, people that were buying yarn from yarn shops that was like mill-spun and produced. You know, that 3.5, 100-gram skein was very common, whereas my brain always started out working in 4 ounces because I was used to spinning things in 4-ounce sections. So that's how I started out. And I also, structure-wise, wanted something, you know, clearly I love the imperfect perfectness of hand-spun yarn. And this is one of our first customs that I'm really excited about. This was Galler Asana, which if you go on our site, and our free knit kit that you can sign up for is also this yarn. It is magical, and we love it. It is a wool and alpaca blend, and you can see it is really cool, like slightly thick and thin. I mean, this yarn literally looks and handles just like hand-spun yarn. It's amazing. Like, you can put this yarn right next to hand-spun yarn, and it looks just like hand-spun yarn, which was the conversation I first had with Heidi when I found this, not this exact one, but a dyed colored one in a yarn shop. I called Heidi, who, y'all know through Cocoon Handspun, and she's also our head, like, fiber blender as far as color picking and bat production. with Crafty Housewife Yarns, and I sent her pictures, was like, Heidi, the stuff looks and feels exactly like hand spun yarn, because that was always the big quandary with selling hand spun, was people would be like, well, if I just get one skein, like, what do I make with it? So the idea of having large quantities of solid colors that could be used texture wise right next to hand spun yarn, so the hand spun could be like your accent yarn, but texture and handle wise for knitting and crochet projects, I mean, this like blew our minds. We loved it. And we loved it so much that we actually, I ended up brokering a deal with Galler Yarns, who, it was their Galler Yarns Asana, and that's what you'll find on our website. We ended up with all of the remaining stock of this yarn. So we kind of went crazy and bought, when I say we, I mean Crafty Housewife Yarns, but I'm the owner and resident leader of that. So I went crazy, I guess you could say, and we got all of it in existence. So you may still find, you could run across the Galler Asana in a random yarn shop somewhere from where they had it years ago, but we have all of the current existing stock that went out. So that is what is in our knit kit, our free knit kit, because we love it so much. We wanted people to start experimenting with working with a more thick and thin yarn, as sort of a gateway drug to hand spun, as you could say. So, but what they did not have, we wanted one that could be dyed, and all the ones that they had they were solid colors. So we had this one custom made. So we're the only ones that have this one, this natural white color that we use for dye projects. So if you are a subscriber of the Indie Dyed Yarn subscription, we have so many subscriptions, but the Indie Dyed Yarn subscription, you have probably gotten some really cool custom yarn that we dyed, the staff dyed on this base, which is our custom base, and we love it, and I could talk about it for way too long. So this was, like I said, something Heidi and I both were very excited about, and is near and dear to our heart. And if you haven't tried it, it's the softest stuff ever. So if you haven't tried this, please go check it out on our site. And if you would like to try some for free, the free knit kit on our site, if you go to the, it should be a banner at the bottom of my website, you can click on that and you get a delightful email series written by myself that will lead you to the secret listing for the free knit kit, where you get 3 skeins of this. It's awesome. And, supplies are, a thing on that. So if you're watching this video 5 years from now, that might not be a thing anymore. We could be on to something else or have different colors of it or whatever. But I like to think that we will always have this yarn base around in one way or another. As far as other yarn bases that I'm claiming, also from Galler Yarns, you can tell we love Galler. So this is the Galler Wow. It is their newest yarn. It is a super fine merino wool, and I was talking with the owner, who I'm also happy to call a friend of mine, and I was lamenting because she came out with, it was the Galler Super Bee, which is just like this, but like chunky size, and it's probably the most fabulous yarn in the whole world. If you like the big chunky stuff, it's magical. It's super fine. Instead of being like big chunky yarn that's like kind of low quality and scratchy, it's like big chunky yarn, but made out of 100% super fine merino. So Galler is definitely the cream of the crop, in my opinion, for just their yarn bases. But I was lamenting that I was like, what I'd been trying to do in my limited capacity previously for like 2 years before was I really, really, really wanted a yarn line with different solid colors, but I wanted it in this single ply, because as a yarn spinner, like I said, you have to remember I'm always coming at everything from a hand spun. I love single ply yarn, and I know that you're supposed to double ply it, or people like to double or chain ply it, and I do that too. But I really, really love the look, I love the handle, I love the finished products, how they end up looking at the end. I love working with it. I love single ply yarn. Hold on, I have to drink some water. And excuse me. My dream was to have a yarn line of different beautiful colors of single ply yarn. And because I'm me and because of the values of our company, when I started out on this project in my head, I had wanted to source the wool. I didn't want just the bases that like everybody else had, clearly. So I'd started trying, my original go at this was some really nice quality single ply yarn that was out of Scotland. So I was buying it blank, and then we were getting it dyed, and I wanted it to be kind of kettle dyed, and it turned out, y'all may remember it if you've been following us for a while, it made lovely yarn, but because we are a small business, and like as you can see from behind me, I'm in my house. The whole staff, we all live in different places, so we don't have some sort of like giant warehouse and endless supply of money to do the amount of colors that we wanted. So that was also kind of shooting me in the foot for wanting to have it on a broader scale. So when I was talking to Galler Yarns, and I was like, I love your Super Bee. I love your colors. I love that it's one big chunky single ply. I was like, my dream yarn. And then I told them the story I just told you. I was like, would be that exact yarn in those exact colors, your wool, but a worsted weight single ply yarn. I was like, I can't find it. I was like, the closest thing I could find to it, oh my god, and I'm drawing a blank. Malabrigio. And they have a single ply yarn that is very popular, and I have knitted with it myself, but it was just kind of scratchy, and I don't mean that to sound bad, but the Galler yarn was so much better. So, and I loved their company, and I loved the way it turned out. And so then they made my dream come true. And they made, this is just one of them, a whole line of basically exactly what I had requested and dreamed up, but except I didn't have to actually make it. So this is my baby of the Galler Wow. And so that is under their names, but we sell it and are clearly enthusiastic about it. And like I said, every time I look at it, it makes me happy because it was exactly what I asked them to make for me, and they made it for me because I'm the luckiest girl ever. So there are a bunch of these. They're in beautiful colors. They come in giant, 8 ounce. Yeah, they're 8 ounce skeins. So it's like 2 skeins in one. So anyhow, that was another one that, like I said, does not have my business name on it, but it was from conversations I had with Galler on how I felt that this was something the market needed and something that I just personally really wanted. And because they're the absolute best, they made it. And so now I sell it, and very enthusiastically for them. So please go check out all the wonderful yarns that Galler makes that we have on our website. And when you buy this one, you have to think about me and how it was the yarn that I wanted. And on that note, we also, through having my perfect yarn base created, gave us, since we are small batch dyers, all of theirs that they make are these big solid colors. But we were able to get the blanks, and then the Crafty Housewife Yarns dye team, in addition to dyeing the Asana, we also dye the this base here. And you can see it just has such a lovely sheen because it's such good quality wool with all the colors. So this was one, and you can see it's got my tag on it. From that we've currently got on our site, but it originated for the hand dyed, like the indie dyed yarn subscription. But this was my other baby of, like I said, the yarn base that I requested, and got it milled up, and then we dyed it the colors we wanted. So that was how the story of how we've ended up with some custom yarn bases for our dye work. And I think they're equally beautiful, both natural and dyed. And then you can see the difference between the single ply and the chunky 2-ply. And then, of course, Dawn's yarns. So that's why, having gone through that with my own business, when I saw that Dawn had created her own yarn line with her colors and exactly the structure and texture and everything that she wanted, I was so excited, and I'm super glad that that is what is in our cottage industry yarn subscription this month. So anyhow, that was my nerdy rambling about getting your own yarn base, and how exciting that is and why that is what is currently in the subscriptions. So please go check out Twice Sheared Sheep. If you want to see more on my yarns or any of the subscriptions mentioned, they're on my website. I will try to drop some sort of a coupon code if you want to try those. And like I said, Gallery yarns are fabulous. They are also listed on my website. We are a stalker for them, clearly, because we love them. So go check them out on my website. Or, like I said, if you want indie dyed or the Asana, there's so many different options. And if you are interested in the yarn, the Everyday Merino from Twice Sheared Sheep, that is on her website, as well as all of her goodies and patterns. Thanks!